Hello, guys. My name's Dean, and welcome to my review for the newest MCU movie, Black Widow. So, Black Widow is the next film following Avengers Endgame out of the MCU, and to me, it's been one of my most anticipated films, considering Black Widow is easily one of my favorite characters within the franchise. And it's a bizarre film because it's obviously takes place after the events of Endgame, where she dies. And so to people such as myself, I was very skeptical coming in because I was like, why is the story being told now instead of 4, 5, 6 years ago when pretty much everyone wanted the story and it felt like it would be natural. And so after coming out of the movie, I kind of still have that question. Why wasn't this movie made 5, 6 years ago? I don't want to give the wrong impression. It was a good movie. I actually really enjoyed it. But I feel like some of the narrative decisions made were kind of off. I think obviously family has been a huge component of her character, but I feel like some of the choices with family kind of undermine some choices or some things that have happened in the previous films. So I wasn't crazy about that. But before kind of getting into some of the more plot heavy details, because it is non-spoiler review, I want to talk about the action. So the action in this movie is actually quite good. The hand-to-hand combat and the close-up shots are spectacular, I would say. It's one of the caveats I would say to the action being great is some of the huge set pieces. There's a specific chase scene I was not crazy about. There was far too much CGI for my liking. Also, there's some bizarre huge set pieces which fit the narrative of the plot, but it just too much CGI. It felt a little too fake and out of place. But again, the close hand-to-hand combat fights felt brutal. They felt vicious, and I really, really enjoyed those. And there's lots and lots of action within the movie. I also felt as if the music was good. I would say better than serviceable. I would say it was good music. I wouldn't say it's like anything you're going to be remembering for years to come, but I thought it was fine. The audio design was spectacular, in my opinion. One thing, and is the most important part of a movie like this, is the characters. And I think the new additions were spectacular. David Harbour was great, funny, had some kind of clever humor, kind of one-dimensional, but still great. Florence Pugh's character had a ton of humor, and was significantly more likable than I thought she was going to be. So that was awesome. But my biggest issue with the film is it's a Black Widow film. And I feel as if Natasha, our protagonist, really wasn't as vital and as important as she should have been for her own movie. She didn't really have anything too clever, anything overly funny. She was fine. Like, you have one of the best actresses playing her, so of course you're getting a great performance, but I just don't think there was anything written to help her. Which was very disappointing in my opinion. And building off of that, as I watch it, so this is a very smaller scale film, but with it being a smaller scale film, stakes are lower, and it being so personal, I just think they took the wrong plot approach. I think what would have been significantly more fascinating to me would have been a story of, perhaps you could still call it Black Widow, but I would say Black Widow and the Hawkeye. I think that is a significantly more interesting plot, especially considering it's taking place before she dies in Endgame. I think one of the best parts of Endgame was the friendship between him and her. And it was touched on in the previous films, and we know they have this great friendship, but we didn't really see it too much. And that's something I really wanted to see in this movie. And we just didn't get. And again, it's not like the decision to focus on this new family is bad, is wrong, because I mean, you're writing, you can write whatever you want. I just don't think that is per se what I, as one audience member, wanted. I think there's other things that are a little disappointing about the plot. I think Taskmaster was a little like, okay, it was fine. It wasn't bad. Again, and that's the thing is, this film, nothing's really per se bad. It's just nothing really exceeded my expectations. Many parts of the film, in my opinion, are a little too predictable. And really, it's just, it wasn't anything crazy. I left the theater while I had a great time. It's a bombastic film. I felt I was a little disappointed because I think what would have been more interesting would have been an emotional ride with the two characters that eventually they both want to sacrifice each other or sacrifice themselves to save the other. And I think if you could have kind of seen that in a movie, and then finally, maybe he in this movie, tries to sacrifice himself, and he still survives, but then she ends up trying to return the favor. I think that would have complemented Endgame more, and obviously Endgame takes place after, so I feel like this movie should be made to complement that one. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time, but I do feel a little disappointed watching it. But again, it was cool to have a spy movie. That was another thing. Some of the spy elements I felt were a little underutilized. I think they probably should have used the kind of the school of women a bit more. And I would have loved to see more backstory for Scarlett Johansson's character, for Natasha. And I don't feel like we got that. And again, it just, I get the MCU has a lot of more basic, generic plots, and that their characters often will elevate the movies. But I feel like they didn't write even anything for her, who I think is one of the best actors of the entire franchise, to elevate. So, there's a post-credit scene that I won't spoil, but it was very interesting. By and large, the film did a great job not letting the tonality jokes break up the seriousness until we got to the post-credit scene, in which I think a joke really busted what was a fantastic scene. But overall, I think it was a good film. I'd give it probably like a 7. Maybe I'd give it a 7. I think I'd give it a 7 for entertainment, 7.5 for entertainment, 7 for critical. And it was good. I think it's definitely worth watching, but a little disappointed. And I don't think we'll ever get any more out of this character. But I if anything, I would love to see a film or a show of Black Widow and Hawkeye and building that friendship up for that final moment in Endgame to have even more payoff. But overall, it's good. Good. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.